Okay, so one of the most common questions I get is, what is a brain health coach? So I will tell you, as a brain health coach, the majority or the foundation of things I do is based on the Amen Clinics method, meaning what if mental health is really a brain health issue? So again, like Dr. Amen talks about, we talk about biology, psychology, social, and spiritual. What do I mean by biology? I mean by what's going on in your body? What are your genetics? What infections or immunity do you have? So for instance, for my clients, they get about a 4-page suggested blood panel. So things like general CBC. If you have anemia, you can feel anxious and tired. It can lead to memory problems. You may overeat to medicate yourself. General metabolic panel. If your liver is not right, 95% of your T4, which is your thyroid, is activated in the liver. So if your liver is not right, it's affecting your thyroid. Homocysteine, so it could be related to Alzheimer's disease. Folate, so folate aids in the production of our DNA and genetic material. It's required for healthy regulations of our genes, our brain neurotransmitters, melatonin and myelin. People fighting depression tend to have lower levels of folate, which is the B12, B9 in blood. Ferritin, so that's the measure of your iron in your blood. And if your ferritin levels are too low, it's associated with anemia, insomnia, restless leg syndrome, ADD, depression, and low motivation, meaning you're not able to produce enough dopamine. So ferritin is what they call the bus driver that drives the active T3 thyroid into cells for activity. So again, going through biology, C-reactive protein, that's associated with several medical conditions, mood problems, aging, cognitive impairment. Thyroid. So abnormal thyroid levels are a common cause of anxiety, depression, forgetfulness, confusion, lethargy. It impairs your thinking, your judgment, your self-control. It's included in fatigue, dry skin, and hair loss. So again, I have a lot of clients that if they have anxiety and depression, but nothing like underlying causing it, I always ask them, when was the last time you had your thyroid checked? Vitamin D. So low levels of vitamin D have been associated with obesity, depression, cognitive impairment, heart disease, and many other diseases. One study showed that when vitamin D is low, leptin, which is the hormone that helps us to stop eating, is ineffective. Cholesterol. Cholesterol gets such a bad name. Now, don't get me wrong. There is such a thing as too high of cholesterol. There's also a thing of too low cholesterol. So too high means you're not getting enough blood and oxygen because your blood is sticky, it's thick. If it's too low, you're again not getting enough blood and oxygen. Why does that matter? Levels below 160 have been associated with ADD, depression, suicide, and homicide. Have you ever heard that before? I know I hadn't. AA-EPA ratio is basically your healthy and unhealthy omega-3s in your body. The higher the omega-6 is in your body, it's associated with depression. Again, hormones, I have everyone tested hormones, men and women. Another thing is testosterone. So if you've ever heard of the failure to launch generation, basically it's the 20-plus-year-old men that are still living at home. They're in mom and dad's basement, whether they're playing games or they just don't want to get a job. A lot of what we're seeing is that their testosterone is too low. Testosterone is the motivation hormone in men. The reason why it is so low in this generation is the hormone disruptors. So the plastics, the pesticides, herbicides, the antibiotics. For women, it has a totally different effect on our body. So when I talk about hormone disruptors, it just means girls are getting their puberty quicker. The other thing I ask them to test for is mold, and not just environmental mold. There's actually food grade mold, so anything that is a hard shell, So coffee, rice, corn, peanuts, anything that's got a grain, okay? So for instance, when they did my blood test, they found mold in my blood. It was not environmental. It was from coffee. So now I drink mold-free coffee. Yes, that is a thing. The other thing is heavy metals, so that can lead to mood problems, low energy, cognitive issues, brain fog, anxiousness. And I know here in the Midwest, we tend to have at least one heavy metal in our system. The other thing they're finding is there was a study, I believe it's the University of Pennsylvania, where they tested several thousand schizophrenics, and by taking them off of gluten, they no longer had the schizophrenia symptoms. So that tells you how much food and environment can affect us. And then things like Lyme disease. There's so many things, I won't get into this one. Toxoplasma gondii can mimic schizophrenia. Well, that's transmitted through cats and cat litter. Epstein-Barr virus, strep. So PANS and PANDAS. A lot of times we're seeing that autism has been formed because as a child, young one, they had PANS or PANDAS, which is a pediatric autoimmune system. And then things like herpes, like that. The other thing is I have people check, especially if they're worried about Alzheimer's dementia, is the APOE4 gene, which is the Alzheimer gene, especially if your kids are going to play a sport where they can have head trauma. So again, as a brain health coach, we're going to go through intake forms. We're going to go through all kinds of questionnaires that'll talk about what part of your brain is overactive, what part of your brain is underactive, what is healthy, what do we need to calm down, what do we need to get revved up, for instance, like ADD, your prefrontal cortex. Again, I go through that it's not a character issue, it's a brain health issue. So let's look through biology. Then we'll go through psychology. So what are you talking to yourself? How was your childhood experience? Your social. How's your work-life balance? Is there stress at work? What is your social support network, your friends, your family? What is your spiritual life like? Do you have meaning? Do you have purpose? Do you know why you're here? So again, that's just a real quick nutshell of what I do as a brain coach. I look forward to hearing from you. You can call me at 513-874-5433 or info@LifeCCA, and then our website is lifecca.com. Thank you.